to cut her out. Plus, your names sound wrong together. Tuca and Birdie? Tuca and Birdie? Birdie and Tuca?
Alright, I'm gonna be real. Tuca and Birdie is a show that actually really grew on me. And at this point, it's one of my favorite shows out right now. It follows the bombastic Tuca and shy Birdie as they navigate young adult life in Birdtown. Birdtown kind of looks like LA. Don't ask questions, dummy. Also, Steven Yeun is also in this show, and he's literally been in like 2 of the other shows we've talked about. This man is doing too much. Speckles is my favorite character though. Love this man. The titular characters are a great balance. Birdie is kind of your average introvert who has too much shit thrown her way, and although Tuca can initially come off as loud, obnoxious, and like the immature archetype, the show thankfully uses this to its advantage. Tuca is a deconstruction through and through, taking an honest look at how her bombastic attitude and irresponsibility is capable of setting her back in adult life. Hot take, but the only thing I really can't stand at this point is the theme song. Even in season 2, something about it is just nails on a chalkboard. But hey, they shortened it on Adult Swim for time. That's nice for me, I guess. Look, let's address what everyone's kind of thinking. If you've seen BoJack, you already kind of get the vibe for what it's going for, giving the DNA it shares with the Netflix hit, and maybe because it's an anthropomorphic animal show about the complexity of emotions, relationships, and trauma. But in this one, it's only plants and birds. So suck on that, BoJack. It's got its own confusing rules, and I love that. Nevertheless, Tuca and Birdie still has an incredibly strong voice of its own, and has only managed to separate itself further and further apart from that dang horse guy. Season 2 being an excellent evolution of the series thus far. This is also another cool television story because after being canned by Netflix and picked up by Adult Swim, the show had to switch up the structure of the series, and now is designated for week-to-week viewings instead of watching it all in one go. It's almost like that's better innately. The show feels a lot more episodic in nature while still maintaining growth in the characters. Each episode in season 2 typically contains its own story, some addressing loose ends from the first season, while others break new ground for the show. It's just really great. And it still manages to balance insanely delicate topics while staying cartoonishly goofy. That's the charm of the show. It's what makes it so endearing. You can be laughing your ass off one second and at a loss of words the next. And depending on you and your own life experiences, you'll have a different reaction to the darker moments. And they really go dark. Either something will hit way too close to home, or it'll be something you'll never be able to relate to, but still sympathize with in a sense. Glad that the show was vulnerable enough to entrust you with that information. Either way, you're going to be able to take something away from it. And we can't leave out the breathtaking visuals of Tuca and Birdie. Nothing stays the same visually for too long, especially when they lean into the heavier shit. Some may find it distracting, but the use of color and stylization is something unique among adult animation nowadays, especially those being broadcast on TV. This is also one of my favorite representation of anxiety in fiction I've seen in a long time. I think they handle it just super well, and how they depict it visually just helps it go a long way. Thank God Adult Swim saved the show, because it's one of their best series out right now, and it's cool to see a show with really broad appeal on the Adult Swim roster. Season 2 was definitely a major improvement, and it'll be on HBO Max real soon. And I can't wait for season 3. If I'm lucky, just maybe change the theme song. Maybe this is the worst take I've ever had, in which case, I'll take the L.
You downloaded Brain, Morty. You want to jump the shark? You want to know my stupid crybaby backstory? Knock yourself out. Not now!
That's right, guys, it's Rick and Morty time. One of the most interesting, polarizing, frustrating, and incredible shows has returned this year for the much anticipated 5th season. Look, as far as I'm concerned, Rick and Morty was put under a microscope by its fans to the point where I couldn't take either seriously. It's an Adult Swim cartoon with fart jokes. Everybody needs to chill out. But that's not to say this hype came out of nowhere. I'm not joking when I say that when this show premiered, it legitimately felt like a cultural reset. That was then followed by an unprecedented commercial tidal wave and a massive series pickup. And after only being a seasonal thing, it seemed like Rick and Morty had to reinvent itself for the long haul. And while this season was great and some of the best we've seen from the show in a while, it still managed to have flaws that were definitely picked up on by the fans, myself included. Most of this newest season affirmed to me that Rick and Morty really is just Adult Swim's answer to like The Simpsons, SpongeBob, South Park, and other immortal cartoons, and that some of these episodes are going to exist solely to fill quota. That doesn't mean the episodes are bad, but they're just not critique Rick and Morty either. They're going for quantity over quality here. The show still has a problem of introducing interesting concepts that can be episodes all of their own, only for them to be abandoned until they want to use said concepts again. Morty actually landing a date with Jessica and ending up in a crazy Narnia-esque adventure with her is dope in its own right, but her ascending to a time god or whatever sounds like it could have been just an even better episode, and they just didn't do anything with it. It was just a bit. But on the other hand, a lot of these episodes did a good job of exploring their concepts to the fullest and committing to the emotional beats that accompany them, like Morty's weird relationship with Planet Tina. That end made me feel terrible for Morty, yet also, come on dog, look at that Flower and Morty arrangement. You can't help but to chuckle. It's twisted, but I mean, that's Rick and Morty, bro. But everything I was saying about it being quantity over quality and an Adult Swim show with fart jokes, don't take it too seriously, was absolutely blown out the window in the finale. They sat me in a chair in the corner and told me to shut the fuck up, because the last 3 episodes give us what a lot of the viewers wanted. That sweet, sweet Rick and Morty lore. Rick reactivates Bird Person, giving us insight into their past, the revelation that Bird Person has a daughter imprisoned out in space, and the confirmation that Rick's Beth is dead. It was a lot, all at once, and at the very last minute. But then there's the 2-part season finale. The first half is just typical Rick and Morty hijinks as the duo break up and Rick tries to replace Morty with 2 crows, which honestly, guys, this joke didn't land for me. I could just get the vibes that it had like the writer's room rolling, but it's kind of like a you had to be there joke, because I wasn't really laughing. I didn't really get it.
The joke is your grandson was so replaceable that even 2 crows could do it. It's funny, except it's not.
But it doesn't matter, because the episode evolves into this brutally honest assessment of their dynamic, and you think, man, maybe this really is it for them? But of course it isn't. It's all an elaborate setup for their trip to the Citadel, and that's when the pot gets cooking, baby. That's when they rev up the engine, baby. Take the pot out of the oven. You know what I mean. Because guess who's there waiting for them? Evil Morty, the president, finally back after, I kid you not, 4 years. My therapist told me not to be this invested. And what truly humbled me was the very last segment of the finale. I literally went back and rewatched it like 3 times. It actually gave me chills. I did not think that could happen at this point in Rick and Morty. I won't lie to you guys. I think episodes that are just kind of average come across as worse than they really are in quality because of episodes like these. The team behind the show seems to detest serialization and super deep lore, given Rick's comments, and it seems like they really want to play the meta route with like breaking the fourth wall and subverting expectations. But the truth is, it's those episodes that go all out in every single aspect. They're just really fucking good at doing this. The writing feels snappier, the art and animation is always at its peak. Even the music tends to slap harder. It's like they know that they can like season a dish with truffle and caviar, but they're just so committed to the Heinz ketchup. Bottom line is, after all this spiel, I'm over trying to dig too deep into Rick and Morty. But if this finale is what it means, moving forward has got me jazzed in a way that I have not felt since the beginning of season 3. The central finite curve, Rick really not being the smartest man in the universe, the gold portal. I might actually buy Rick and Morty merch. I might actually walk into a store, interact with a legitimate human, and ask for Rick and Morty merch. That's where this got me. Look, it's as exciting as it is frustrating, because like, now what? The truth is, the show still has like 5 more seasons to mull through, and I cannot imagine how they're gonna pace this out at this point. I would honestly hate to be in their shoes, because they clearly don't want to commit to long-term status quo changes that would completely change the show, but there's still a story to tell. But alas, this is the route they chose, and it's not all bad. I mean, we're gonna get a lot of Rick and Morty, which is cool. Truth is, some shows decide to go for a story from the jump, like Avatar that was committed to only 3 seasons. Some became serialized later and it just worked out. Rick and Morty makes it clear it never would have done either, instead revisiting stories whenever they feel like it, apparently. But let's be honest with ourselves, this is a Dan Harmon show. This man makes television. Of course I would opt for as many episodes as possible. This is a television show, not like an art assignment, even though it can totally be whenever they want to pull out the big guns. My advice as a dumb internet person for fans going forward is, I don't know, lower expectations and just enjoy the ride. Chill out over the lore not being in every episode. At least we kind of know what to expect now. It's not going to be the golden era, but it's definitely not awful either. And I for one felt this season was the perfect indicator of what the show will be like moving forward, and I can honestly say I'm excited. Also, I want to point out that I completely avoided making a Pickle Rick joke during this segment. You can thank me later.
We have made society more tolerant of our kind, from the Geico Gecko to the Shape of Water. We even got K. Rool in smash!
Look, out of all the shows that came out in 2021, this had to be 100% the one that I was the most excited for. A Gravity Falls alumni, Shion Takuchi, making an adult animated series about the world of conspiracies, and on Netflix where it could potentially find a massive audience? I mean, let's go. I mean, this is as good as it gets, baby. Also, it had my favorite theme song of 2021. This shit just goes hard. The show follows Cognito Inc., a corporation literally in charge of all of the world's conspiracies. They serve an even higher power, the Shadow Council, which are often teased as terrifying. They're pretty scary to me. Don't like cloaks. Something about shadows too. Just gives me the heebie-jeebies. Look, I love the idea that even Cognito Inc. doesn't know everything. It keeps the show fresh and stops the characters from being, well, Rick Sanchez. They don't know everything. They're not all powerful, and like any job, they're just trying not to get fired, homie. I feel that over here at YouTube headquarters. Please don't fire me, Mrs. YouTube. Please give us our dislikes back. The main characters, Reagan and Brett, are an absolute breath of fresh air as protagonists. Despite being a spin on Brains and Brawn, both of them have unique characteristics that make them stand out amongst most protagonists in adult animation. Reagan isn't just any old employee at Cognito Inc. She's the child of former CEO, professional day drunk, Ran Ridley. As a result of his parenting, she's adopted a lot of his drive and tenacity as she aspires to become the new CEO. But she's also very socially awkward. She struggles at human connection. Me too. I feel that. It's one of her biggest shortcomings, holding her back from being the ideal leader that